Agud Voch boisai. This is the first time that I'm giving the same exact shir, word for word, joke for joke, story for story, not song for song, 4 times in a row. 4 times Erev Shavuos, I gave it in Hebrew. On Shavuos night, 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., 2 shiurim, and now this is the 4th one. So the Hebrew I recorded on Friday, on Erev Yontif. The English we're recording right now. And on Shavuos, just so that we have shiurim here on Shavuos, some people came to both shiurim were full. Baruch Hashem, very, very nice turnout. Gary Ben Moshe put together a beautiful spread. So Yishkoyach is up there in the booth now. It's a zechus, huh? And right, and I want to show that it was sponsored. The unbelievable spread was sponsored by Mordechai Sapaznik, the Zechi Nishmas, his grandmother, Mrs. Sapaznik, Feigish Prince Abbas, Rav Yitzchok, Alei Shalom, and Neshama have an aliyah. Shidduch, he should be zayich the shidduch bekorov. All these sponsorships should the pilois. It's not simple to give the same shir 4 times. I just gave the shir to the Israelis, to the Hebrew speaking, but that's next daf. It's a little bit easier, but it is what it is. So if you were here the other day or you weren't here, just pretend everything's funny and laugh out loud. Yeah. So I do want to say thank you. There's a very famous radio personality here in Israel. His name is Menachem Toker. As a matter of fact, a Rav, a very chashav Rav, called me up and said, I heard your whole podcast from beginning to end. I was like, a Rav, you listen to? Yeah, we all listen to Menachem Toker. Okay, he's famous in the Israeli society, and he came to the Beis Medrash and interviewed me for an hour. And he wanted to do it. It was literally the day before Shavuos, and he wanted to put it out before Shavuos so that for Kabbalah Satar. In fact, many people joined this year since then. It's unbelievable. You can see a difference on Zoom. I think like 30 people joined on YouTube in the last day. So you can see a difference. And I want to say Yishkoyach to him, even though it's a Hebrew podcast, but tremendous Yishkoyach to Menachem. Talking about that, we'll go from one end to the other. I don't have emails today. I just wanted to show you real quickly. At the Kesher Nafshi Shabbos, this is from Sparks of a Nation, a very famous status group. And they bring different videos from different places and talking about status. Oh, I have to say a big Mazel Tov. I keep on forgetting. Shabsi Cohen had a Einikel. Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Yevei Lanu Lecha Yisrael. Ay, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Yevei Lanu Lecha Yisrael. Ay, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Yevei Lanu Lecha Yisrael. Bam, 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 bam. Once hold on a second. Oh. So I don't want to forget this. I'm going to get back to this in a second. We have a very, very special guest here, even though I introduced him and his dad at night. But we have Seth Hellman, who his father Brian is here. They ate by me this morning. And Brian is more of like a conservative Jew, right? I could call you a conservative Jew. His son Seth grew up conservative, I guess, and was in university. He's been with us since Brachas. There's an anonymous person. He told me, I know the story. I didn't know it's anonymous. An anonymous person sent him when he found out, he was on Zoom, that he doesn't even have an Archwell Gemara, sent him the introduction to Shas by Art Scroll, Archwell Gemaras, Archwell Sidurim, a lot of things, and he has a lot of Karas HaTov. Whoever that anonymous person is, you're Shekaya. I thought it might have been Mark Ashkenazi. He says, no, he doesn't think it is. So whoever you are, tell me in a secret who it is. I'm just curious to know. It's very interesting. So thank you for being here. And this is the second time, the same shir. Thanks. So now you ruined all my jokes. I'm going to have to skip most of them. I didn't have any. They weren't that great. At the Kesher Nafshi Shabbos, Reb Eli was forming the greatest Kesher possible. Did I say this the other day? No. The bond between a Yid and his Gemara. spending an entire weekend in Connecticut for no reason other than to sign people up to join Reb Eli Stefansky's Daf Yomi shir, and successfully was. I think it was over 20 people they got sitting there for 24 hours. That's how it's done, Rabbi say. You ask, how come I can't do it and he could? Because he puts the effort in, that's all. That's the difference. Person puts in the hours, the efforts, he gets to bring people in, help people change their lives through Torah connection. And that's on Sparks of the Nation. Yeshua Koyach.
We are here to give out Torah to Klal Yisrael and to make people have a kaviyas, which will end up changing their life. Many people didn't have a kaviyas in learning. Sometimes you need somebody like Reb Eli to make that gives them a achrayus that they're going to have a kaviyas for learning every day, and that changes their lives.
And he's a very successful money manager for, what was it, Merrill Lynch? What does it work for? Goldman Sachs, I think. He's like, what? Goldman Sachs, yeah. Okay, we'll jump right into it. The Masech is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, Linishma Zechariah ben Moshe, Linishma Zechariah bas Yosef. Parnas HaChodesh, Lurfuah Shelaima, Neftali Hertz ben Leah, a hidden tzadik in our generation. Parnas HaShavua, Lurfuah Shelaima, Mordechai ben Esther, Refuah Shelaima, we love you. I know who you are. A lot of people know who you are, and you do tremendous things. So you should have Refuah Shelaima b'Karev. Parnas HaYoim, Jonathan Abbou, L'chvoid Klal Yisrael. Shkoyach. Rabbi Yisrael, real quickly, because we did this sugya Erev Yantif, but we ran through it, so we'll go back to it. And we have people here that didn't see the sugya yet, so it's an interesting piece. It goes something like this. We know that there's an Isser D'Oraisa to take interest. You're not to take interest. And if somebody wants to borrow money or do some sort of business, there's a way out of it. We know there's something called Heter Iska. We're not really discussing that, although we can mention it briefly. There's something called Iska, not Heter Iska, Iska. Iska means that we take the money that you are borrowing and we divide it into two pieces. One piece is a loan, the other piece is a deposit. The piece that's a loan is 100% the responsibility of the borrower. The piece that's a deposit is 100% the responsibility of the lender. So therefore, if there's a loss, there's a $100 loss, 50% of the loss is the responsibility of the lender because we view it as a deposit. 50% of the loss is the borrowers because we view it as the 50% of the loan that was lost. That's when it comes to a loss. A loss you can divide 50-50, no problem. The issue is the gain. What happens if there's a gain? So if you would divide a gain 50-50, that would be interest because you have to ask yourself, the person that's doing all the work, and we're so used to it, hey, you don't get free money, so obviously you deserve something also. That's exactly the point. You're not allowed to take anything for your money. You have to lend money without interest. So if we're dividing the money, the profits here 50-50, you have to ask yourself, why is the lender getting 50% profit? He didn't do any work. He didn't sit on the street and sell the merchandise. What did he do? Oh, he lent you money. Very good, he lent you money, so you don't deserve money for money. That's called interest. So therefore, he cannot receive 50%. He has to receive something that's less than 50%. And we're going to call that, he's paying for the guy to work for him. Okay, he's like a worker working, doing business for him. We'll call it 1/3 and 2/3. So here's that chart of, on top, when there's a profit, so the malva, the lender, gets 1/3, the loiva gets 2/3. When there's a loss, it's 50-50. Okay, very good. So says Rava something very, very simple. We'll read it inside. Omer Rava, last words on Kuf Dalet Amud Beis. Chada iska utrei shtare. If you're going to do one deal, but write it as two separate deals, say that the malva will lose money. Why? So it goes like that. Here's the deal. We have this new product called pigeon diapers. It's supposed to prevent, if you look closely, interesting, because the pigeon on the box doesn't have all the details of the pigeon in real life. Look at the details. MDY graphics on the diaper. So it's a new product. He tries to sell the product. What happened was, if you divide the deal into two, and you call it two separate boxes, two separate deals, each box, let's say, has 100 diapers. On box number 1, he made a $60 profit. On box number 2, he lost $30. So let's do the math together. When there's a loss, you split the loss 50-50. When there's a gain, you split the gain 1/3 and 2/3. So on the box on the right, there was a gain of $60. So how much does the lender deserve? 20. That's 1/3 of 60. How much loss did he take from the second box? 15. So 20 minus 15 is 5. So he should come out with a $5 gain. That's a problem. Because if you combine the two boxes and make them 200 diapers, then the math is different. Why? So let's just go. This is, if you add the numbers, there was a $20 gain on the right side. That's on top because it gets 1/3. There was a $15 loss on the third. Total, he gets $5. Great. Forget about the guy on the left. But if it's all together, there's a $60 gain, and then later on in the day, there's a $30 loss. So what's the total? $30. How much should the lender get out of $30? 10, 1/3. You see the problem? It's not a problem. Says Rava, don't break it into two. Because they're different, the loss and the gains are different. It's a 50-50 split versus a 1/3 and a 2/3. So if you put it on two different, if you view it as two separate entities, the malva, the lender, is going to lose. And now we take it to the next. If it's in fact two different deals, top of Kuf Hey Amud Aleph, if it's two deals and one star, then the reverse is going to happen. You're going to have a loss for the borrower. So it's better for the loiva to keep it as two separate deals if you can. Don't take two deals and make it one when you don't have to. Because as we said, the loiva gets everything but $5. Okay? Or if we go back to this chart, he'll get 25 instead of, he'll get 25 instead of 20. So he gains 5. Says the Gemara. Next sugya, brand new thing. Okay, so this is where we're holding Vamar Rava, and another halacha says Rava. Hi man, did I say it inside? I'll say it inside in case I don't want to get that email. Treis give chat star said the fine. Vamar Rava. Hi man, the kabel iskem chavrei upasid. You have a guy doing like a Ponzi scheme. He borrowed money. He tells the guy, we're going to make a load of money here. Just give me $1 million. Trust me. You can trust me. I'm great at this. And he loses a lot of money. So he figures, look, I'm not going to call the guy up and let him know about my loss. He's going to be very upset. Let me try to recapture the loss. He decided to work it and not notify the lender. So you can't say, we need to share the loss. So let's just see how it looks over here. Boom. Step number 1, there's a 60 loss. I'm so glad we came up with these screens, because I was holding up these charts and my son came over to me afterwards and said, no one saw, I didn't see one thing you showed. I'm showing like this. He says I was on a different angle. Now there's 3 screens. No matter where you look, Baruch Hashem, I hope everybody can see. And I don't have to hold it up. It doesn't hurt my hand. And I don't have to point. There's something special about holding it up and pointing, and there's something interesting about it. But
I miss when you made the moving shots.
I just saw one of those. Midam Hada. I just saw that on Friday. Maybe I'll show it. Should I send it to you so you could put it in? I was sitting there moving the mem up and down. Yeah. Okay, the arts and crafts. Took hours those days. Okay, step 1, there was a loss, 60. Okay, the guy lost $60,000. I don't care, call it whatever you want. He doesn't call up the lender because it's a huge loss. At this point, if we stop and he goes home right now, you have to split a loss. 50-50. So the lender just lost $30,000. He goes, works, makes a profit. When there's a profit, we only split it a third, 2/3. So now the lender should get 20 instead of, should get 20. So now if you take the 30 loss that he had, I just lined it up a little bit. If you take the 30 loss that he initially had in step 2, and you take the 20 gain that you had in step 4, then he's supposed to lose a total of 10. He cannot call him up and say, hey, you just lost $10,000. Why? Why didn't you call me and tell me that it happened? Where were you? You can't be secretive about it and expect me to pay you. You thought that you're a big chacham, you're going to make it back, and I'm not going to call you a loser, a real loser, a person that loses money. So don't tell me about it, and you take all the losses for yourself. That's why you figured out to fill it up yourself. You don't want people to call you a guy that loses in business. Okay, so stick with that name. Now we're going on to another case where instead of one person borrowing money, it's two people, two partners. They borrowed money to do iska. What's iska, Rabbi Yisai? Get it in your heads. 50% is a loan, 50% is a pikadon, is a deposit. Therefore, the malv and the leiva share equally in the loss. It works out great for everybody. There's a maximum each one could lose. If he borrowed $1 million and he lost $1 million, the lender is not going to lose $1 million. The most he can lose is $500,000. And the same thing for the other guy. The borrower can never lose more than $500,000 because each one is taking a 50% responsibility. That's iska. Just to explain, we didn't really get into it. What is heter iska? Heter iska is where you do a deal where it's 50-50. I take 50% responsibility for the loan. You take 50% responsibility for deposit. We are partners. But I tell you, if we're partners, then you're going to start looking at all the numbers, okay? And I don't want you to look at numbers. You don't want me to look at numbers. Let's not get involved with the numbers. I'm going to have to swear. I'm going to have to make shvuas. I'm going to have to bring testimony. I'm going to bring aid. Let's make this simple. We're partners. At the end of the day, you get, for your partnership, you get 5% in Shalom Yisrael. That's it. So it's not interest. It's a number that you're getting on our partnership. In order to make it easy, so you don't care if I lost $1 million, made $1 million. I'm giving you, for our partnership, I'm giving you a certain amount. I think that's the way heter iska works. Oh, there's a story, a real story here in Israel. I said this over. All my stories I said over, but I said it 4 times. This is the 4th time. The 3rd time. A guy invested in a certain bank. Let's call it Bank Leumi. I don't know, one of the Jewish, the Israeli banks here. And of course, it's a heter iska. You have to do a heter iska. And he took the money that he got from the bank and he invested it in one of the bank's stocks. And he lost a lot of money. So he went to the manager of the bank and he said, hey, we're partners. You have to cough up 50% of the loss. So the manager says, we're not partners. You signed the silly document that says, iska, it's for, for you religious fellows. But it's not a real document. It's for people that, we were heter iska. We need a heter. It's like, selling chametz. I'm not, you're not serious, are you? He says, yeah, I'm serious, because if we're not partners, and it's just a document, so then the iska doesn't work. We're real partners. In fact, in order to do a heter iska, you must know how a heter iska works. It's very problematic, because most of us don't know how it works, and we sign heter iskas all the time. Fine. So this guy made a big stink, and he started getting rabbanim involved. And they were also, whoa, what did they say? They said it's not a real thing. It's just a document that you signed. The bank saw that they're going to lose all their clients that are makbid, so they paid him. They paid him his half of his loss. It was a big thing that went on. I don't know how they do it, but like you said, you have to take 50% of the loss. I'm assuming if you're doing like a heter iska with this and that, they don't really, I don't know. There's a way out of the loss. I don't know how to get out of the loss. Okay, fine. No, that's exactly what it is. You don't get involved in the losses. You don't get involved in the gains. Just like you're not sharing with me the $10 million gain I took off your money, so you're not sharing with me the losses. I'm just getting, every year, I get a certain amount, this amount, 5%, and I don't ask any questions. That's what the risk means. So they're not sharing laws. So fine, but how does it fit into the story? Again, I don't know exactly how it works. V'amarov. I'm giving you Berech how it works. So there's two people that did a deal. Like sometimes people go, they gamble or whatever. They play poker. I don't know what. I have one of my kids, professional. Sometimes you make some money, you pick yourself up and you leave before you don't want to. So the guy made some money, so he's like, you know what? Let me take my money. Let me get out of here before it's too late. You're gonna keep on doing business. I'm not gonna have anything. So the guy says, no. We made a deal. We're partners. We have a 3-month deal. Yeah, we signed whatever it is, half a year. You made nice money. Keep it in the deal. You're not walking away now. He could be ma'akiv on him. Let's split. And if the other guy doesn't agree, let's make more. Do you know who the ma'akiv? He has the right to stop him. You don't say the vav here. And if he says, listen, give me my half of the profits, and I'll leave the principal in. No. I need all the cash available because what if there's a loss? So he's going to address that in a second. So, if there's a loss, then I'll step in. Don't worry about it. That's also not good. You know what? Give me my share. I want the principal. I want did I explain? Yeah. The gain is connected to the principal. So he says, give me the gain, give me the principal. I want out. The whole deal is all connected. It's all meshubed one to the other. Get me out of here. But what are you concerned? That you're not going to have enough money if there's a loss? I'll come back and I'll help you out when there's a loss. Absolutely not. Mazel de betray adif. There's a certain mazel. There's a certain guy that I did business with. And I told him he owes me money, this, that. So in the middle of the conversation, he's like, you have mazel. I said, you have mazel. I said, great, so I have mazel, so pay me. No, it's mazel. The whole is... There's such a thing. There's a concept called mazel. Meaning, I know people, I'm not going to mention, I know a person. Every time that particular person puts money into a Chinese auction, they always win. Always. I never won a single Chinese auction in my life. You know these people? No matter what, they always gold. So you see once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. What's going on there? Oh, they always pull out the right card, I don't know. Mazel. So you go over to him and say, you want to go into business? Yeah. Now you want to run? After we made a little money? Stay. Why do I want to be a partner? I went through this whole thing because you bring mazel to the deal. You bring mazel to my life. I like you. So you can't leave. Says the Mishnah. Now, what's interesting is, if you remember, maybe use Daf Kuf Daled Amud Aleph. Yeah. Here, top of Daf Kuf Daled Amud Aleph, the top line. Is where Rav Papa says, listen, although these two Mishnayos could be talking about a kablon. Oh, I don't have the kablon and the choicher in this sheet. Okay. But you know the difference. Let's go over the difference. There's a sharecropper, a guy that every year it changes. Whatever produce he produces over there with the field, he splits. Let's say he takes 2/3, gives 1/3 to the owner, or 50-50, whatever the split is. But it depends on how much the field produces. There's a guy that says, no, I don't care how much my field is going to produce. I'm giving you X amount of produce, or sometimes X amount of money. Says Rav Papa, each Mishnah, and there's a lot of them, could be talking one or the other, but not both. From now on out. The first two are both. Now we're talking about one or the other. So each Mishnah we're going to say, hey, now we're talking about, here, this Amud alone. We have 1, 2 Mishnayos here, and we have a third Mishnayos on Amud Beis. So let me just see. It goes from choicher, arets, choicher. Okay, just heads up. We're going from a guy that's paying a set amount to a guy that's splitting. The one on the bottom over here in the middle of the Amud is he does split whatever comes out, and on the Amud Beis, back to choicher. That's what Rav Papa is trying to tell you. Listen, it's going to jump. Sometimes it's 2 in a row, 2 choichers in a row, then it goes to the fine. Not that complicated. Says the Mishnah. Again, now we're talking about not an aris, we're talking about a choicher. He's paying by the year. And he doesn't want to weed the field. I'm telling you again, I have this Kool-Aid factory property in the south side of Chicago. They used to be Kool-Aid there. That's where the factory for Kool-Aid. So I thought, if they sell Kool-Aid there, I better buy the property. It's geschmack. Now I'm stuck with that property for 12 years already. So one of the big costs, it costs a lot of money to just hold on to this property. It's a very large property. Somebody invested $9 million in building roads and gas lines and water pipes and street lamps and everything to build 125 homes. I ended up building 10 homes there, and now just sitting and waiting for somebody to buy from me. So one of my big expenses is getting rid of the weeds. Because if you don't get rid of the weeds, then the city fines you. So then they asked me to put a fence around it, so I had to buy a fence, which was very expensive. Then I had to put like fabric around the fence. You're talking about 20-something acres, I think it is. A giant thing, 9 blocks. No, 7 blocks. I don't even remember anymore. Just city street blocks. Full thing. So nobody wants to buy it for the price I want. No, it's not that. It's really not that expensive, but whatever. I got to pull my money out every year, $200,000, whatever it is, just to weed the place. It's great. Not that's not how much it costs, but the total expense. One of my guys goes there, rents a tractor with these things, and goes through the whole thing. Otherwise, we get. So I'm a professional weeder. We spilled all sorts of chemicals there against weeds. Weeds, they love these chemicals. I'm telling you. The more you what? No. Light a fire. A big Madura, a 25-acre fire in the middle of Chicago. I'll be on the news. It'll cost me more money. Yeah. Great idea. In Israel, it works sometimes. Have Hezbollah shoot some rockets over there. By mistake, it blew up. No, a little fire. Oh. So this guy, the minhag, everybody, the minhag of the places to weed it in the middle of it. Before you plant it, you just weed. He says, I'm renting here. Who are you, Mr. Owner? I don't need to listen to you to weed it. What do you care? All you should care about is, at the end of the year, you're getting the 200 pounds of wheat that I promised you. That's it. What do you care if I weed it, don't weed it? No. It doesn't work like that. Because the owner could say, tomorrow you leave, I have to find a new renter, a new sharecropper, and it's a terrible problem. Nobody's going to want it with all the weeds. Says the Gemara, but what if he tells you, you know what? I will take care of the weed problem afterwards. I'm going to take a tractor, I'm going to plow it. What good is it if you plow it afterwards? The 200 pounds of wheat that you're giving me is wheat that grew from here. We have a picture. Look at this, terrible. Wheat that grows with weeds, it's terrible wheat. The wheat itself is no good. It's an inferior product. It's competing for nutrients with weeds. So the whole wheat it's not the same wheat. So I don't want that. You know what? What do I owe you? I owe you 200 pounds of wheat. Very good. You have a 22-acre field. I'm going to take 1 acre on the side. Did I miss the line? No. Oh, you're right. Missed the line there. Great. The second line after the Gemara, where it says Gemara. I'll buy you. What do you care? I'll buy you wheat from. This is one of the most important lines in the whole sugya here. He says, I almost missed the whole thing. If he says, I'll buy wheat from the market, and I'll give you the wheat. What's your problem? No. I want wheat that comes out of my field, only my field. Similar to similar but not the same. That's when I work the field. But over here, we have this field in our family for 500 years. Every year, generation, we eat from this. We know the taste. It's the best. Geschmack. It's what. So there's a mashal. A guy comes to yeshiva. Some of you had the opportunity, the unfortunate opportunity. You show up and you surprise your son in yeshiva. I know many, you come. You know what happens when that happens. Where is your son usually when you come to surprise him? He's in the dorm, schluffing away. 90, guaranteed, even though the guy was in Seder every single day for the last 6 months, when you show up, that is the day that he decides to take the day off. Anyways, he comes to the Yeshiva. He says, my son. The Yeshiva says, what's your problem? Look at this. The whole basement is full. They're all learning. So the guy says, shkoyach. But my son, where's my son? I don't care about his son, my son. My chita. So you think about it, the Refuah Shelaima says, where's my son? My son, you know where my son is? On a Matzah Yontif at 11 o'clock at night. What am I talking about 11 o'clock? 11:30 at night at Matzah Yontif. Here's my son. My son is in this medrash. Chazu, bonai, chavivai. Chazu, bonai, chavivai. Haydi mishtachim b'tzarodloi v'yaskim b'chedvos adli. Haydi mishtachim b'tzarodloi v'yaskim b'chedvos adli. Baruch Shalom says they forget about their own problems and they're Isaac. How do you say Isaac in English? They're involved with my chedva, somebody translate this. My what? My delight. Okay, that's a good one. My delight. Gary, the lights are not going to go off in 10 seconds, right? Okay. Very good. Shkoyach. Says the Gemara. Here, look at this field. You're telling me I have to get rid of the weeds of the entire field. Why? Because you want good produce from your field, not from the market. Okay, let me chop off 25% of this. I'll weed it. I'll do everything. I'll grow wheat over there. And that will be the shear. I'll give you your 200 pounds of wheat from that part that there's no weeds. Why should I weed everything? So he says, no. You're making it bad for me. Oh, I just thought about something. When you have a field, the Gemara is saying, when you have a field that's full of weeds, so it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for, I want to sell the field tomorrow. I won't be able to sell it. They'll say, look, we saw him there with a tractor weeding it. They don't realize he didn't weed the 100%. They only weeded 25. And they're going to say, I don't want to buy the field. It's not a good field. It's a weedy field. Or the next guy, the sharecropper, is also not going to want it. Fine. The weeds are in Klal Yisrael, the Yidden in Klal Yisrael. It makes it shemra. What do you care if he does the daf? It's a shemra for Klal Yisrael. Yeah, we all got to be part of this. Fine. Zog the Gemara. Now we're jumping back to an artist. A sharecropper. Did I skip again? Why are you guys paying attention? I'm trying to get home. Okay, fine. And every time you catch me, it takes time to go back in the whole thing. If you look at the last words in the Mishnah, it says a completely different answer. It doesn't say about bad name, about I like this better than that. Hello. You know why I want you to weed the field all the way in the beginning of the season, not at the end? Because think about it. Somebody here, Yosef Erman, last night jumped up and he said, what do you mean? The way weeds work, they drop these seeds throughout the season. And they're going to get deep into the ground. And you're going to come and you're going to weed it later? That's not good. Now I'm stuck with a field that has all these weeds in them deep down in the ground. It takes time for them to come. You don't see them now. But because of you, I'm going to have more weeds next season. Says the Mishnah, A guy's a sharecropper now. He's not paying for the year, he's sharing the crop. 50-50 split, whatever it is, a third, 2/3. But the field didn't produce anything, very not good, nothing. So the question is, when you are a kablan, you contract with somebody to do something, you don't have the right to just drop the deal and walk. If you're a salaried, you're working per day, per hour, you could leave the job in the middle. But if you're contracted for a job, you can't. So over here, he's contracted for the job. You're not happy with the produce, too bad on you. Maybe. So what's the shear? There's a certain shear that says if the field produces a certain amount, you have to stick around. What is it? If you could put a big heap of wheat, you have to stay. You must stay. My kids agree, but what kind of business is this? What if it's 1,000-acre property? One little pile, I have to stay? I have to go around taking wheat from I have to reap 1,000 acres to get one little pile, and I have to stay for that? That's crazy. Ella, it means if I have enough seeds to sow this field, then I have to stick around. So therefore, every field is actually different. If it's 1 acre, I need 3 pounds of seeds. If it's 1,000 acres, I need 3,000 pounds. Whatever it is, you just do the math. Okay, fine. Just was saying, it's an interesting story, so I'll say it anyway, that a guy wanted to see how much would it cost him to make a single hamburger. Look it up. It's a story. It's one of these YouTube things. He went and he planted wheat, and then he did everything he needed to do, and he reaped it, and then he winnowed it, he threw it up in the air in a fan in his dining room. It's fun, it got everywhere. And then he had this, then he put it in a blender, and then he milked the cow, and then they took the milk, and he made cheese, and then he made pickles, because he's making a cheeseburger. Then he made pickles, and then he planted tomato. Kitzer, at the end of the day, cost him $1,500, $1,500 for one hamburger that didn't even taste good. So this guy also, I'm not willing to work for $1,500 to get you a little, there has to be a limit. So that's what we're discussing now. He is a sharecropper, but it didn't produce. If he could come up with a pile of wheat, then he must continue working. Because he says this. I promise to stand the enir and to plow, the Ezra and to sow, the echzoid and to reap it, the amer and to make it into like bundles of wheat, the edoish and to thresh it. From all these, we only have this guy. The threshing process. Oh, maybe we have did he put the video of, no? Oh, that was geschmack. Gary, you're up there? Oh, you don't have the video. Do you have the video of them winnowing? I thought it was great. Fine, different time.
Where is it?
I don't know. He had it done. It was not in the sheets. It was on a side video. I think it came to his thing and he showed it. And then it says, Va'oikin karya kodamach, and I'm going to give you a heap. Oh, he promised it. He wrote it in a contract. I'm going to give you a heap of wheat. You should take a half. And because I worked hard, and because I put in, I had different expenses, I'll take half. What does it mean there's going to be a pile? Or maybe so the way they winnow is they use this shovel. They can use also a fork. And if you could put the shovel part of this tool here like that into the heap, and it stands straight, that's enough. That's how much the thing is. So the Gemara asks, so if you take a look at this picture for a second, see how it pops up a little bit? Oh, it just popped out. Again, popped in, popped out. Maybe we should have done a little bit more. According to Taisus, the question is, what if he reversed it? What if it went like that? So you need more wheat. As you see, the pile grew because it's a smaller handle. Okay. Now I'm starting to fly. Sorry, Brian. You okay? I gotta move. We gotta get home soon. So Rabbi Yosef says, Kol she'ein koines shaloi, roi pnei chama, as long as you don't see the whole scoop, like in this picture right over here, you don't see any part of the shovel part, then you're okay. Itmar levi omar shali sayin, as long as you can provide 3 saw of wheat, then you must continue working. The Bei Rabbi Ani Omar, Amri, so time, it's 2 saw. Omar Shlakish, so time shalom chutz min ha'itza, it means 2 saw include after, net, after all the expenses. Not hadassah. Paritzi zeisim anovim. You have olives that are no good. They're not going to come to full, we'll see in a second. Food is subjected to tuma, but it's only if it's food. If it's not food, they still say it's tar. But what's paritzi zeisim? My paritzi zeisim. They'll never come, they'll never ripen. So there's a beautiful thing from Moshe Shapiro. He says that you see from this Gemara that something that doesn't ripen, here, look what they call it. They call it a rasha. A bad grape, bad boy. You're not a good olive, bad olive. Says Moshe Shapiro, the human being who doesn't grow and doesn't reach his potential, doesn't go for his potential, he's a rasha. It's bad. You gotta be on a constant yearning and strive to reach your potential. A lot of people are complacent. They're like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. You ask them, don't you want to add a little bit of this, work on that? No, I'm good. You hear that all the time. Good is not good. You're not good. You can be better. Everybody can be better. You can be a little nicer. You can be a little this, a little that. Everybody could do something. And that's why he says, if you think you're content, then you should know something's wrong with you. Slide 12. That's where it is. Oh, very good. Thank you very much. Here goes winnowing 101. It's just nice to see. We talk about it a lot in the Gemara. We never saw how it is. And pay attention to the dog. Rabbi said the dog is the best part. So the grain falls down, the shaft flies away in the wind. Shaft. Yeah. Don't be in the line of fire. Yeah. Anyway. Reb Eli, v'kama paritzi zeisim. How many of these zeisim? Reb Eli zor ma arbas kabim l'koira. If we're talking about a koira, so here, if you walk around the Shemesh, you could see these things. There are a lot, not a lot, but basically, or I like this one. Let's go to this one. So you put the olives in these sacks, these round sacks, and you put the beam, the leverage of the beam, because part of the beam is in the wall, and then you have the stones on the other side that pull down the beam, and it squeezes and extracts the oil from the olives. So if you could put, it's 4 kav per one of these beams. So sayim lekoira, 12 kav. In other words, 3 times the amount. There's no argument here. The oilala is on the bottom, that stone on the bottom. If you could put a kur over there, some of these manufacturers, some of these factories could actually produce 3 times the amount of olives. The stone, the what? Did I really? Yeah, I think I did. Oh yeah, okay. I'm mamish scared. It's nerve. Wow. Unbelievable. I'm not doing this on purpose. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so my paritzi zeisim. It's 6 lines from the bottom. My paritzi zeisim. Amar Rabbeinu Rishi zeisim. Amar Rabbi Yezim Micro. What do you see this in the pasuk? U'bnei paritzi amcho. Yinasu la'amid chazayin v'nichshalu. The sons of the paritzim. So paritzi over here is bad guy. The Rambam says it's talking about Yeshu. Okay, we're not going to go into it now because we're on YouTube. Yinasu la'amid chazayin v'nichshalu. You're the son of the parrots. Shoifich dam, he's a killer. So parrots is a bad guy. The priest is Asim, or Melazar, Aras Kam Lekoira, the Birianiam Society Lekoira, 3 times the amount. The Pligi, and there's no Machlais, the Miley Koira Boila, the Miley Klas, the Kurin Boila. It's a place that the Koira can actually handle 3 times the amount. So there's no Machlais. Torah Bona. Kuf Hayam the base. I don't have the sponsor here. I don't know what happened. I didn't print it, sorry.
bigger cup and Kidnovations.
What? Bigger cup. Innovations LLC. And honor for Lana Devorah, Bas, I don't know, Lana, that came out of the hospital. She had a baby and she was in critical condition, and now Baruch Hashem she's home, but we still need a dam for her. And zechus Akiva Simcha Ben Fayga. Yeah, all Bilan, turn up on him. Rabbi said Yishmak is here. But what? We're already going for an hour? No way. Can't be. 50, yeah, we're going for 50 minutes, not good. We could do this in 10 minutes. Fine. We're talking about a zav. A zav is a person who has an emission, comes from a disease. He is a avatuma. He's an avatuma. So take a look at this chart, the famous chart. Maybe we could even zoom in here. So it goes like this. The top tuma is avi avaisatuma. That's a dead person. If you touch a dead person, you go down one level and you become avatuma. If somebody touches the avatuma, then it becomes a rishon. If something touches the rishon, it becomes a sheni, shlishi, revi, etc. Fine. We are talking where the red arrow is, the large red arrow is a zav. A zav is avatuma. If the zav leans on another person who's completely tar, that person becomes goes from avatuma to you guys are also not paying attention, so I can also skip lines. Fine, rishon. Come in rishon. So, says the Gemara, what if a zav and a regular person that's not a zav, who's tar, go on a tree? If it's a weak tree or a weak branch, then the second guy becomes tummy. Guys, I'll share this with you. I thought it was funny. To me, it was funny and sad at the same time. I'm going through this, feeling guilty. My entire life, I stayed up the whole night Shavuos. The last 2 years, because of shiurim and everything, I just can't stay up. I got up on Friday at 4 in the morning, gave the share at 7, gave another share at 2:30, gave another share at 12, gave another share at 1, went home, started learning. At 3:30, I literally fell asleep. I found myself sleeping. I tried to stay up. I couldn't, so I went to sleep. I dived into 8:30 minyan. I felt guilty. My whole life, I stayed up. And so anyways, I'm looking around in Shul. And I'm like, what a bum. How come you didn't die? What are you diving this late minyan? What's your excuse? I'm okay, I have an excuse, but what about you? I'm looking around like that. I'm like, is everybody looking at everybody like that? So, anyways, I went to my friend, Reuven Chait, who lives in my building. Huh?
It didn't happen in Vasikin.
Everybody's sleeping in that minyan. But there's certain characters that before you get to shul, he's gonna be there. He didn't even try staying up. These guys. So I went to my friend. I said, "Listen, were you looking around and thinking about everybody else?" He goes, "Actually, yeah, I did." So I said, "What's your excuse?" He says, "I learned Reuven Chait." He goes, he said he didn't really look around, but he says, "What are these younger guys doing here?" I said, "But the guy's 22 years old. Why is he not?" Fine. He said, "I love this. I'm sure other people did it, but I never really heard of it." He learned the entire night until davening, and then he went to sleep because he felt he couldn't daven with enough kavana. So he went to sleep and davened 30 minutes. That was beautiful. All right, so it's kedai just to go there, so I don't feel so guilty. I met him. Bezer Hashem, Shavsi, get on his case. We need him back in the Hebrew share. Zok the Gemara. Alu be'ilan shekoichara v'soicha shekoichara. Huh? He was. He wants to, but he has, he needs a little push. Tame. So the guy becomes Tame. Why? Because it's as if you leaned on him. If the Zav is moving the branch with that guy, it's as if he leaned on him. What does it mean that it's a very weak tree? If you can't carve out from this tree a roiva, then it's a weak tree. And what's a soichai, a branch that's weak? Here, look, if you go like this is, let's say, a person could go around the branch and it's this thick. Do you see the cup? I don't know if you can see it. So if you cannot do this, if it's a little bit like that, the fingers start opening up, then, that will be better. My fingers might not be fair, but okay, here, perfect. I can't get around. You see? So that's a weak branch right there. So if it's like that, then we're talking about a weak branch. Okay. Kol shenichbes b'chazyoina. Let's make a nice one then. Hold on. Not awesome. Now we're talking about another beautiful sugya. We didn't have this sugya in a while. It's all over Shas. Beis HaPras. That's when you have a grave and a plow went through next to it, and we don't know if the plow got with its teeth, if it was extracted a body or a skeleton. And we know that a skeleton is metama, gives tuma through oil. Yeah, if there's a skeleton underneath the ground and there's a tefach of ear, so then it goes. I'm sorry, if there's less than a tefach of ear, it goes up and makes people tummy. But if it's a small bone, then it's not matama unless you move it. Even if it's the size of a sair or barley, if you move it, you're tummy. So now the problem is, how can I walk through this field? Perhaps I will step on a bone, I won't even see it, and I become tamei by moving it. So what do? You get a ride on somebody's shoulders and you go through, or you go on an animal. Well, it depends. If the animal is a weak animal that you're causing it like to be crushed under your weight, then it's as if you yourself moved that bone in your tummy. So it says like this. What if you take a ride on a human or an animal who are weak? Tamei, you become tamei, because it's as if you yourself stepped on it. We have a beautiful, the guys on Shavuos did not get to see this. You will be able to see this. Here we go. The knees are shaking. When the knees shake and hit each other, that is noikish. Fine. It was worth it to come just for that. I'm just. And the guy on Shavuos night, the guy says, "Why don't you move it quickly or something?" So I'm like, "No, then." Hey, Chidami. Now, if we didn't have this, back in the day, I would make the knees moving. Like we'll do a little thing in the back there. Hey, Chidami. What does it mean? An animal that is weak? It relieves itself from. Sometimes an animal gets nervous, or I don't know. You didn't have dog. We used to have a dog, so I can tell you what. A bird. I don't know, kids. You put too much pressure on an animal, it'll relieve itself out of, nerves or whatever. So that's what I mean. Fine. It's too weak, the animal. I mean, the Reb Eli. Tefillin are both kavim geshmak sugi over here. For Shmona Esrei and tefillin, the weight limit is 4 kav, which is 25 pounds. L'tefillah mahi, what does it mean? The Tanya, I think we can get rid of this guy. Yeah. The Tanya, I should get rid of it on my screen. I could see it from the side. You're carrying something on your shoulder, and it came time to daven. If it's less than 25 pounds, let's say, if you throw it on your shoulder, you put it on your knapsack or whatever it's called, you can daven with something on your shoulder. But if it's heavy, you're not supposed to be davening Shemona Esrei holding something. So if it's something that you notice on your shoulders, bogging you down, get rid of it, put it on the ground. L'tefillin mahi, this anya, so this we're not familiar with because we don't wear tefillin all day. However, in those days, everybody wore tefillin all day. And if you go to the old city, you'll see hundreds of people walking around with tefillin on their heads all day, doing random things, the Zilbermans. So you're not supposed to put a heavy burden on your tefillin, like a 25-pound thing, and walk around with it. Why? If it's going to crush your tefillin, you're not allowed to. What are we talking about? The massive shel arbas kavim. If it weighs 25 pounds, no good. Imagine you're taking some sort of fertilizer, garbage on your head. Don't put the tefillin on the side and then you carry the garbage with the tefillin on the side. Like a guy, sometimes you get hot. So you take the sweatshirt, the sweater, and you tie it around your waist. Don't tie it around your waist. It's degrading to the tefillin to do so. You could put the tefillin on your left hand, next to your tefillin shel yad, you put your tefillin shel rosh. Mishum debeis shilo amru, afilu mitpashel mazel ani achal rosh. Now you put the cover of the tefillin on your head, sheyesh by tefillin. You now have to put the cover of the tefillin next to the tefillin. So I just wanted to mention here a story that when I was in yeshiva, there was a guy that was a genius. One of these geniuses, IQ 160, whatever it was, but whatever, high IQ. And he comes into the Yisrael one day, and everybody's pointing to him, what happened? He forgot to take his tefillin out of the box. So he put the box on his rosh, he said the bracha, and he walked in like that. So, now, as a side note, I will say this. I told my wife I'm going to say this. I told her today. I said it already. I'll say it again. It's like a little while back, I'm sitting at home learning. I'm like, my father wears tefillin all day. Nobody sees me. Nobody's going to know. Let me just wear my tefillin. What's the big deal? It's a Torah with tefillin. So I put my tefillin on. 3 minutes go by. And all of a sudden my wife passes by. She goes, Eli, what are you doing? You're turning to your father. Like, get those off right now. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm wearing tefillin. I'm sorry. Like, chas v'shalom, Anyway, just thought I'd mention what?
She won't see.
Yeah, no, in those days I wasn't in the side office. First of all, the side office on purpose that she could see from the kitchen. But yeah, it was. I remember exactly where it was. It was in the dining room. I was wearing the dining room. I should try it. Let me try it again tomorrow. Let's see what happens. I'll try it. Yeah. Overview my kids Bobby Cree. If we're talking about, what, it's Matzah Shabbos, Matzah Yontif. I just want to say the story. I want to say it for Brian again. This is a record. But you know what? It's because this is the 4th time I'm giving this year, so it's like, okay, I know. 4 skips. Even a very small garment or cover, even the size of a river. Real quickly, you guys know the story, but I want to say it for Brian. Brian didn't hear the story. There was a, But it's almost 12 o'clock. We'll say it real quickly. There was a couple that came to Rav Gifter. I'll give you a little twist to the story I never said. The couple that came to Rav Gifter and said, my husband doesn't want to help out in the house. He says, what happened? He says, I asked him to take the garbage out. He says, no, I'm too important to take the garbage out. I learn in Koil all day. I'm studying to be a rabbi. Garbage is not my thing. You take out the garbage. So Rav Gifter said, I hear. Oh, very interesting. Fine. The next morning, knock on the door. Who is it? Rav Gifter. He says, I'm here to take the garbage out. So he's trying to teach him a lesson. Even I can take the garbage out. You're not more important than me. You should take it out. So somebody asked Rav Gifter, is this story true? He said, no, never happened. Story never happened. But don't tell people. Let people think it's true. The lesson is a good lesson. It's a good story. Don't tell. Fine. I'll review though. I don't know, because we're talking about Zevel and garbage. I'll review though, my kids will be Kree. Hello, so Rabbi Yehuda says it's not about a pile, it's about how many seeds come out. 4 saw per core. Core is 75,000 square amas. Rabbi Ami argues on Rabbi Yochanan's Rebbe, it's 8, double. And a lot of times in Shas, Ahusaba, why would we tell you who's Ahusaba? Eliyahu Navi. The Rav Chama Bereid, I'm not saying that's who it is here, but a lot of times Taisa says, it means Eliyahu. The Rav Chama Bereid, the Rav Ravo. I'll explain to you. They're not arguing. The Talmud won't argue in this Rebbe. In his generation, you were able to produce a lot more with a lot less. Interesting. Not awesome. I looked it up that because the Chavis says that from each seed comes out 6,000 seeds. The most I was able to find on Google is like 1,500 seeds or something. I don't know, because there was a Pella. This I was shocked to learn that each seed, how many stalks of wheat grow from a seed? So I thought it's one per one. It said on Google 3 to 5. I didn't know that. So then, times all the here we have seed. I don't want to touch this on Yontif, but you got all these. Each one is a seed. The Kitzur comes out to, but the Chavis Havav says 6,000. So it seems like in his generation there was more, and I don't know what happened. There's different types of wheat. So you see that there's a Yeridus Hadaris, so to speak, in the wheat. So now we're talking about leket, which also has a lot to do with shavuos. Leket is one of the matas hanim. Leket shekopeh that you give to the poor. Leket is when you drop two stalks, you have to leave it for the poor. So what happened was there's a lot dropped. You do a lot of reaping, and you're dropping. All of a sudden, wind comes and blows your stuff over it and covers it. Now you don't know what's what. What do? The bezin has to decide how much typically there is, and that's what you give to the poor. Reb Shimon says not necessary. You give the poor people the amount that usually falls. You don't have to go to bezin. You decide yourself. What does it mean? It's 4 kav per 75,000 square amas. Is it the seeds, a kur of a zera, which would mean less leket, or lekur tfuah, or it means a kur of tfuah? Are we talking about he's sowing it by throwing it with his hand, or was using some sort of machine hooked up to a bull? Tashma, we're talking about for seeds. But nevertheless, we haven't figured out we don't know if it's talking about a large amount of seeds because you're using a machine and the machine wastes a lot more than by hand. That we don't know. Teiku. Wow. Do we stop here? Let's just stop here because it's late and we'll have to figure it out a different time. You added a picture for me? It's nice. The yarmulke is nice. Basically, the sugya talks about that if you want to go through this space of pras, you have to blow your way through. So back in the day, the best I was able to find on Google of a person blowing his way, he's on all fours, blowing through, is this guy. His name is Michal Yardin. You guys don't know who he is. He actually is wearing tzitzis and all this stuff. So you're allowed to put a picture like that when it's a guy that has a Jewish name and he's completely Jewish. And he's just demonstrating how to blow. I didn't put it in. Yosef put it in. So it's min hashamayim. Rabbi Isai, have a good Voch. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early at 7:10.